Greetings and welcome to today's episode of Speak the Universe Listens. And today's topic is another way to get it. Hey, Steven.
Hey, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
Good, good.
Good. So, another way to get it. So, one thing that we've been talking about a lot this year so far is the whole idea of redefining common thinking.
Right.
And so we know that we've been taught that if you want anything, you got to work for it. And you got to be in the grind. You got to be willing to go when everybody else is asleep. and that's what I did. You know, that's how I built my first business, my husband and I. And I mean, I worked around the clock.
Right.
And it's so funny because I literally did every job. And so recently someone was saying to me, why don't you learn how to do like the social media aspect of what you're doing now? And I'm like, because I don't want to. Like, I don't want to. And because I was thinking, like, if you know how to do everything, then you end up doing everything.
Very true. Very true.
And so, but anyhow, yeah, so that is kind of what we learn. It's about being in the grind, so to speak.
Yeah. I can say for the most part, that's the way I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anything that I wanted, that I had to work hard for, that I had to, sit back and start from scratch, and then just start building it from there. But for the most part, though, I don't think people realize that is a way to get it. That's one of the many ways to get it. But also, we don't really think about starting it from the mindset. We don't really think about it as to where, you know what, I know what I want, but how can I get it with not busting my butt as hard, But for the most part, if you know what you want, then that's all that you have to put out there into the universe. Put that thought out there, because everything manifests in your life from a thought. So if you already had thought about it, it can happen. So now the next step is, how is it going to physically pop up for you? So one thing I learned in my life is that when I learned that I don't have to bust my butt ass hard, but it's one of the many ways. And I, of course, with my business and everything, I sit back and I worked hard for the things that I have. But another way that I learned that other things can happen for me was like, you know what? Let me put this out here. I know what I want, and I'm just gonna leave it like that. I got the faith that it's gonna happen. I'm not even sweating it. I know that it's gonna happen. And the crazy thing is that I continued to work, but I wasn't working as hard. If that sort of makes sense. And out of nowhere, things just started to align. And I wasn't even really thinking about it, but it's just like, dang, and I didn't have to go through the 12-hour, hustle and bustle grind of just working so hard for it like I used to do. And when I realized that, I said, wow, hey, this is pretty cool that I can do this,
And that's interesting that you say that, because what it sounds like you did was you actually just allowed. We are so in the habit of pushing and forcing. And the thing is, if I try to force you to do anything, you're automatically going to push back.
Right.
And that's how we kind of live our lives, as we try to force situations, we push it, we want it to happen on our time schedule, the way we want it to happen, and that sort of thing. But dropping those nuggets, like you said, into the universe and allowing them to manifest is just a whole different ball game. But the thing is, all of us have done that in our lives at some point, but we don't know how to do it again. And so what you just said about, I kind of forgot about it, and it just started happening. So what you want to do is, if you can think of any situations where it was something that you really wanted, but you didn't push it, you just kind of put it out there and it just happened, and you're just like, oh, wow. this just happened for me. If you can remember the feeling of that, like put yourself back into that place when that happened for you. Remember that feeling and allow things to happen.
Right.
So it's a certain feeling, it's a certain vibration. And so a lot of times when we're talking about the things that we want, we're talking about it from a place of lack. So it's like I want this business so I don't have to work for somebody else. I want this business so that I can finally make ends meet, or something like that, versus
Right.
I want this business because I would love to service people in this type of way, or I would love the freedom that having this business would entail. So whatever it is that you really want versus what you don't want, and we get so hooked on
What we don't.
creating from a space of, or trying to create from a space of what we don't want, and so just kind of flipping it. And so I love what you said about you just kind of put it out there. You had confidence that it's basically it's gonna happen, and you just kind of let it go.
Right. And crazy thing is, like, when things start to happen, I'm just like, wow, that like how easy, how easy it is to just really be in your power. And I just know that that's how powerful. I'm that powerful that I can sit back and I can create this without even going the route of just breaking my back to get it. But also too, just having that faith of just knowing. And I think a lot of us sometimes what you were talking about before, we get so caught up in the more of not even the what ifs, but we just caught up in what we don't want, and that when we get caught up in that mindset, then we can't really see anything else past that. So it'll make it 10 times as harder to actually bring in the things that you really want for yourself. So tell anybody, just think about exactly what you want to bring about for yourself, and how you bring that about is prepare yourself for it, not for the things that you don't want to happen, but prepare yourself for the things that are going to happen for you, and everything will start to align for you beautifully. But when I realized that, it was like, man, okay, easy. I said, okay, but it also have to keep yourself on that vibration, and I think sometimes that's something that's difficult for a lot of people, to keep themselves on that mindset. Just saying, you know what, I know that I got it, but get rid of the but. I'll tell everybody, get rid of
And
the
it just takes practice. So it's we're in a habit of thinking a certain way, and it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
We've been in this pattern for years and years and years. And so I wouldn't even label it difficult. I would just say practice.
Right.
Just practice. And every time you start to hear yourself venture off, just bring it on back. No need to kick yourself, nothing like that. Just bring it on back. So when would you say, like, did you notice a clear distinction between when you were like in the grind versus beginning to move to a space of, okay, it's another way to get what I want?
I realized that when I was in the grind, I realized I was in the grind, because, like I said, I just come from a family that's the way, I was taught. You got to hustle and bustle to make things happen for yourself. And I was right in the middle of work. Matter of fact, I was right in the middle of work, doing my business, and I said, it just dawned on me, like the light went off, and I said, dang, I've been hustling and bustling. I remember the times where I was hustling and hustling so hard to make things happen, and now I'm sitting back and I know what I want, and I say it, and after I say it, that's it. I don't, I just let it be, and all of a sudden things started to align for myself. I felt so at ease. I felt very relaxed. I felt like I already had it, you know, before I actually had it. And so with all of those feelings and emotions that I had, I noticed how the things just started to come from me, you know, in line with what it was I really wanted. And it was quite awesome. I mean, I was just like, you know what, that's pretty cool, right? But it took me a while because I did at times, I had to bring it back in, my mindset. Because I knew what I wanted, but I always throw in a but or what if, you know, and I had to say, you know what, pause for a second, bring it back in, you know, and then continue to go on my journey, you know. It's been pretty good.
It seems like to me, it's almost like two different worlds. So if you are in the grind and that's how you're used to getting things, you really kind of don't even understand when people are like, it's another way to do it. And I mean, I remember being in this space, working so hard, working around the clock.
Right.
And for the first time, and you know, I've told this story to y'all 1,000 times, but for the first time when I read Deepak Chopra's little 7 spiritual laws of success, and he was like, one of the laws was the law of least effort. And I'm just like, that makes no sense. Do less and accomplish more. Like, I don't understand. That does not compute for me.
Right.
And it's almost like I say, being in like it's two separate worlds, and literally having to make a huge shift in your perspective in order to hop over into the other world. And I just remember some kind of way, I don't know, you know, like I think Deepak Chopra was one of the first spiritual type books that I had read. And then from there I just studied.
Okay.
And some kind of way, just by, I guess, surrounding myself in this type of material and thinking, I kind of shifted into the other world without realizing it. And I looked up one day and I'm like, I don't struggle anymore. Things are easy for me now.
Right,
and I actually took pride in my struggle. You know, like it was like a badge of honor that I work hard. I can work hard. I know how to work hard. I work long. I can outwork anybody.
Right.
It was like a badge of honor, and it was like to move from that space to a space of, you gotta go to work today. Didn't you go to work yesterday? You know, I'm like, how did that happen? Or whatever. So, but it's like two different worlds. And like this past summer was really interesting for me because, you know, we were going through the COVID-19 type of thing. And I have a long-term girlfriend who, during this time, we were like talking every day. If she was at work. But if things were like normal, I probably would talk to her once a week. Right. So we were talking like every day. And like a few years ago, I had told her something that my mom had told me. Right. So my mom was like, anytime you lose anything, you can call upon the angel of lost things and ask the angel of lost things to help you find stuff. And so a lot of times when my mom would tell me stuff, I kind of, I hear you, but I don't. But I remember, and I'm going to make a long story short, but long story short is somebody lost their keys. We looked everywhere, like everywhere for these keys. Right. And we had given up. And we had looked for like an hour for these keys. Wow. And then I was like, Angel of Lost Things, can you help me find the keys? And I turned like this, and I was like, here are the keys. So it was like instant, right? Yeah. And so from that point, I'm hooked.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so whenever anything's lost, I'm like, Angel of Lost Things, or whatever. And so I had shared this with my girlfriend, and so she started doing it, and it worked like magic for her. And so she shares it with everybody she knows and stuff like that. So, but anyway, what that tells me by her doing that is that there was a piece of her mind that was open to the possibility. And that's what makes the difference.
Right.
If we can, even if we don't believe, if you don't even believe that there's an easier way, if you can just like a corner, just a piece of your mind, if you can open that and just be open to the possibilities. And I'm saying all this because so this summer with us talking a lot, she just like experienced all these miraculous things, and
Right.
and they were small. Well, not all of them were small, but they were like small things for the most part. Like for example, there was a rocking chair that her brother had promised her that was a family member of theirs who had passed, and her
Right.
brother had the chair, and so he had promised her the chair like a year and a half ago. And so I don't even know why we were talking about it, but we started talking about this rocking chair. That night he called her saying, "I'm bringing you the rocking chair tomorrow." And so she had like several experiences like this. Like
Right.
we talk about it, and then that day or the next day, the thing happens.
Right.
And she's just like, "Oh my gosh, you're magic!" Like, and I'm like, "No, that's you. Like
Right.
you're magic. You have that corner of your mind open, and that's what's allowing these things to just miraculously appear in your
Yeah.
life."
And I think, like you said, what I like what you said was just taking that. Some people are just so scared to peek around the corner, and just see what's behind what's behind the door, and to have just an open mind to something new. It can really change your life. Getting out of that the old thought process of what you know to be, true. Okay. Well, what you know to be true. Don't get me wrong. It's some truth to it, but also it's something else that can make things a lot much easier
Right.
for you. Some things that you haven't been introduced to that can just transform your whole life. But the only way that you can experience if you just peek around that corner. Just go around that corner just a little bit, just say, I wonder what's around here. But if you go all the way around it, you might be surprised. You might be like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think a lot of people, I think it's just more of they think that it's something new, but it's not new. What we're talking about. But it's just something that we're reminding people that, hey, you know what? You got the power to make things happen for yourself. You can make things easier for yourself, but it's just all about how you're viewing it. What you telling yourself?
Yeah.
How do you talk to yourself? Do you tell yourself every day, I don't know, or is it high vibration or is it a low vibration of yourself that's talking to you? So just thinking about that and analyzing it, just ask yourself the question, well, you know what if I sit back and go ahead and make this move? What can happen? What can happen?
Yeah, and it's so good that you said about the vibration, because that is our point of attraction, like how we're vibrating and how we're vibrating however we're feeling.
Right.
So however we're feeling, that's kind of like the signal that we're sending out. And I remember one lady who had taken one of my courses, and she's such a beautiful woman, and she was like, she did not realize how negative she was.
Wow.
And that was to me, that was like so important of a thing to say and to recognize, because we all think we're like these wonderful, kind, loving people.
Right.
And we are. But we have so much negativity that we put out in the world, whether it's to, ourselves, or we're putting ourselves down, we don't think we're good enough or whatever, or just the amount of judgment that we do of other people and other situations. And so we don't realize that everything we're doing, we're sending out a vibration.
Right.
And so the key is to really pay attention, like to be intentional about what is our vibration, how are we vibrating, what energy are we putting out into the world, and be sure that as often as you can to bring your vibration higher. And I think Scott has said it in a fairly recent podcast. He was like, however you're vibrating right now, vibrate higher. And you can always vibrate higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, I agree with that. But mainly what you said with your emotions. If you're feeling good, if I'm feeling good now, then I need to continue to sit back and feel good and radiate that energy. And so I think just people just really need to understand that wherever, how you're vibrating and what you're feeling at that moment. Sit back and say to yourself, is this how I want to feel? If it's not how you want to feel, then you need to get to where you want to feel, where you see yourself going. If you say you want to feel abundance, start feeling abundance. And just start sitting back. What's the thing that's going to make you feel abundant? What's the thought that's going to make you feel abundant? What's your end goal? What is it that you're trying to accomplish for yourself? Think about that. Manifest it for yourself. And when you do, then you're going to start feeling those beautiful vibrations that you always wanted to feel for yourself. And then you start to go on a path that you've never been on before, but you're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Yeah. So, just like Stephen said, we definitely can get some of the things that we want by working hard and being in the grind and struggle. But a lot of times it comes at a cost. And I know for me, I can say it came at a cost. All the hard work, I wasn't able to be with friends, with family. I missed my nephews and nieces growing up, that type of thing. I wasn't happy. Right. So, it can come at a sacrifice. It could, sacrifice your health, that type of thing. But what if you can have it all and just be joyful and have your health and, friends and people that love you, surrounding you. So, definitely, if I had to choose, I'd choose to do it the easy, fun, loving way. And just the work is vibrating higher. The work is to be intentional in how you're thinking. The work is to create from a space of love, from a space of joy and enthusiasm. So that's the work. And as Stephen said earlier, or alluded to, that you put that energy out there and then you just kind of allow things to happen versus forcing. And I think one thing I did want to say about that is a lot of times when we're forcing things, it's because we're not aligned with what it is that we really want. Like, we think we want certain things, but because we're told that we want those things, but that may not be what we want. So let's just say, for an example, you might say, I want a huge house.
Right.
But you might not be thinking, okay, once I get this huge house, now I got to keep it clean. Like, that's the first thing I think about. Like, I got to clean all those rooms, or get someone to clean it. You got to get clean. You got to get the landscaping. You got to decorate it, etc. So for some people, that sounds wonderful. But for other people, it's like, dang, now I got to do all that to this house. I got to maintain it. So you think you want the house, but that may not be what you want. It's a feeling that you're looking for. Like, what's the feeling that you think the house will bring you? And that's where you want to radiate, that feeling, not necessarily radiate, I want a house. Does that make sense?
Yeah, take it from basically the feeling. And if you can feel how you possibly know you would feel, if that be
or how you would love to feel.
Yeah, or how you would love to feel. If you can feel that, and that feels good, if that's the place that you want to be at, then you can be like, you know what, okay, now I know what, you may be able to determine what it is that you really want, because we all want things in our life. But like you just said, there's a lot of things that I want, but for the most part, is it what I truly want? I gotta think about, like, is it, because I may ask for, something in particular, and then when I get it, I'm like, I don't even think about when I ask for it, but when it comes along, then I'm like, dang, I found all the things that I don't like about it. I was like, but I asked for this though, and I'm like, so it just made me be more aware of, what I ask for, being more careful what I speak. And I would say that's something else too, just being mindful of what you speak on, for yourself, just being a little bit more aware of the vibrations and what you want. Before, when you're putting it out into the universe, you're going to get it back. So just be mindful of, hey, you sure you want to put that out there? So, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for this conversation on, you can be in the grind, or you can do like Deepak Chopra say, practice the law of least effort, do less, achieve more. And of course, some of that is stuff that we hear all the time, like quieting yourself, meditating perhaps, learning to hear your inner guidance, and again, just keeping your emotion as high as possible. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you guys too for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again next week as we continue to redefine common thinking. Until next time, this is Arvette. Bye guys.